Hi, my name's Paul Grogan. Welcome to the Gaming Rules monthly video log for the month of June 2021. This video log is going to cover pretty much everything that I've been doing since the last video log. The last video log was late, which means this one is actually going to cover, I think it's just a 3-week period. So hopefully it'll be a little bit shorter than all of the others. As always, this video is only made possible thanks to the support of my Patreon campaign. So a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters that help fund the channel. And if you do enjoy the content that I create, please consider supporting me on Patreon at patreon.com/gaming rules. I do rely more than ever on the support of the Patreon in order to keep the channel going and keep producing content. Okay, so let's move on first to all of the games that I've been playing. So this covers the period from the 20th of May right through to the 10th of June. First up is 21st of May, I did a live tutorial and playthrough of Paris with the new L'Etoile expansion. That video is on the channel now if you are interested in going and watching that. As I say, it's 21st of May. Now, I've already done a video for Paris, but this was with the new expansion. So Game Brewer were going back onto Kickstarter with the game, with the new little expansion, and we played through that. Now, I played through the game with Nick and Gemma. They hadn't played before. I had played before, but it had been a while since I played. And that video is basically, as I say, if you want to see us playing through the game, but also in that video, I taught them how to play. So Paris is a game which I really like. What's really nice about Paris is it's designed by Kramer and Kiesling, that are a design duo. I mean, they've done their own games individually, but they design games together. And when I started getting into board gaming in the late 90s, those two were designing games together. And here we are more than 20 years on, and they are still designing games together. Now, the other thing that I really liked about Paris, not only was the fact that it looks amazing, okay, the artwork and everything else about the game and the graphic design is all really clean, and it just looks really nice, but also a lot of games these days tend to be, going overboard with, especially with the advent of Kickstarters and everything else, and over-the-top games with huge amounts of content and everything else. Paris, for me, felt like a classic Euro game. Now, some classic Euro games from 20 years ago still hold up. Some of them don't, but Paris stands there, I think. Paris is a great game. So if you like the medium weight Euro games that came out in the sort of late 90s and early noughties, then this is that. Yeah, really good game, really enjoyed it. Now, the game itself was a little bit unusual. If you are going to go and watch the video, if you are interested in watching the playthrough, then I'm going to tell you now, skip ahead for about 30 seconds, because I'm going to tell you a little bit about what happened in the video. Okay, last chance. Right, so I won that game by a long way. Okay, now that could be because I'd played it before, but it's not like, oh, I've played it once before. What was unusual about that game is when the end game scoring came in, Gemma unfortunately didn't do very well at all. Her points were really low and I scored like a massive amount. And speaking to people in the chat about the scores that we got, they said, well, my score was okay, but they tend to score a lot higher than that. So I think it is one of those games. Gemma went with a particular strategy and we found out near the end, I thought that strategy was going to do okay, but it turns out that strategy didn't really do okay. So it's always nice when I do a playthrough of a game and either I don't win or it's fairly close. This game was not close at all, right? I had like a bazillion points, then Nick had less than that, and then Gemma didn't have many at all. So it was a bit of an unusual game as far as the scoring goes. But it is a good game. Would I play it again? Absolutely would play it again. Really enjoyed it. Did I feel that the expansion added something to the game? I think if you like the base game of Paris, or even if you were thinking about getting the game, the expansion is like a mini expansion, but it does change things up again because it gives players some individual powers, but there's also some extra new bonus tiles around the outside. Anyway, that's Paris. As I say, if you're interested in seeing me play through the game, that is on the channel. Nick and Gemma normally stay till about 11, so we went into the games room and we had a look through my games for one to play. And Nick suggested Mercado de Lisboa. Now, I've had a copy of Mercado de Lisboa for a few weeks now, maybe even a bit longer, and I've heard loads of good things about it, but it is on the pile of unplayed games, the pile of opportunity, as I like to call it. And Nick suggested it, and I thought, well, it's supposed to be like really quick. It's supposed to be like a 30-minute game or something like that. So let's play that. Now, this was streamed, but it was a Patreon-only stream. So if you are a Patreon supporter of mine, you do have access to that video. It was posted on the Slack channel, and I'm more than happy to share the link with you if you want to see it. I will plan to do a public playthrough of the game at some point. I don't know exactly when, but if you want to see me, Nick, and Gemma learn how to play the game from the rulebook and then play it not once but twice, that is on my channel as a Patreon-only stream. So as I say, if you want the link to it, if you are a Patreon supporter of mine, just give me a shout and I can let you know it. What did I think about the game? Now, bearing in mind, Vittel is a friend and also a client of mine, and Eagle Gryphon, the publisher of this game, are a client of mine. But this game I had absolutely nothing to do with. I didn't have anything to do with the design, the development. I didn't do the rulebook. I didn't do any videos for it. Didn't do anything like that. So I can give you completely my honest opinion. Going into the game, it was described to me as a thinky filler with relatively light rules, but very deep decisions. And that is exactly right. Okay, now we played the game, we learned how to play the game, and we read through the rules, and we were like, oh, okay, I understand these rules, but we need to see them actually in action. So we played one game, and then we enjoyed it. Well, there was two reasons. We all enjoyed it, but also that first game was a learning game, right? Because whilst we'd read the rules and we'd learned how to play the game, we didn't really have a clue about how the game would play. Insert Paul's 15-minute rant about your first game's always a learning game. So we decided to play it again straight away. And in the second game, we had a bit more of an idea of what to do. So yes, it is a deep game for the size of the rulebook. There are definite decisions in the game. The bit that caught us out on both games was the end game condition. So the end game condition, the end of the game can be triggered in one of a number of different ways. And the rules are that the player who triggers the end of the game, everybody else gets another turn, not the player who triggered the end of the game. And spotting the end of the game was actually quite difficult to do from a visual point of view. Now, there's nothing I don't think they could have done to fix this, but you are looking for, if there's only 4 available spaces on the board, if on your turn, at the end of your turn, there's only 4 spaces left on the board, then that's how it was in a 3-player game. I don't know if it's the same for all player counts, it might be. Then that triggers the end of the game. So on both occasions, one of the players in the game accidentally triggered the end of the game and wouldn't have actually done that. So in the first game, because it was a real big mistake, what we did is we actually undid that decision and we said, okay, wouldn't have ended the game, would have done something different. Now, in the second game, because it was already quite late, I triggered the end of the game and realised that that was a really, really bad thing to do. But because it was late and we were tired and we'd seen enough of the game in terms of, you know, we'd played it and we were enjoying it, we decided that we'd just end the game. Now, this is a game where you kind of build up a bit of an engine. And in the second game, we scored, Vittel was in the chat and watching, we scored lower than any score that he's ever seen. And that is because we ended the game when we shouldn't have ended the game. I mean, that move that I made to end the game was a move that scored me 0 points, but was going to set me up for later in the game. So it kind of doesn't count, the score for that game, because as a player, you would never make that decision. So yeah, good game, want to play it again, definitely want to play it again. As I say, it's a 30-minute game, 5-minute rules overhead at the start, but then when you actually start playing it, the decisions that you have to make in the game, yeah, really, really tricky ones. Right, next up, on the 24th of May, which was a Monday, and also the 31st of May, and also the 7th of June, Pathfinder Adventure card game. So, regular viewers of mine will know that I am currently in the middle, well, in fact, more than in the middle, I'm near the end of a solo playthrough series of Pathfinder Adventure card game. There's going to be 9 videos in total. 6, 7, and 8 went up in the last 3 weeks, and I am doing the final episode this coming Monday. Now, the Pathfinder Adventure card game, and I've said this before, but I'll say it again for those people who are just watching this video log, who've never seen any of my other video logs, Pathfinder Adventure card game is a game, yes, it's a game, which I hated. When the game first came out, I was really excited about it when the first edition came out, and I played it once and really, really didn't like it. Now, since then, my tastes have evolved. I've changed in what I like and what I'm tolerant of. But also the new edition, which is called the Core Set, which is effectively a second edition, changes a number of things. Not only graphically does it look a lot nicer, but they've tidied up the rules. They've added some extra tweaks to the rules, which make it just a much better game. So it's not just the fact that second edition is better and I hated first edition and liked second edition. It's because my tastes have evolved. The core game is still the same, and the reasons why I didn't like it back then, most of them are still the same. I didn't like it back then because I thought the graphic design and everything else was awful, and it is, but the new version is really pretty. But yeah, I'm loving this game. I mean, this is a very, very random game, but with a huge amount of decision points, thinking, lots of little tactics in the end of the day. And it's interesting when you get a game which has those two things in there. And I know a lot of people who are pure Euro gamers, like I was 15, 20 years ago, look at this game and say, well, what is the point in investing all of that mental energy in working out, oh, well, if you go there and then I play this card and then this allows me, oh, and if I activate this ability, that allows me to look at the top two cards of the deck and then we can put that one on. You go through all of that in the game, right? And the game has a lot of that going on. And then ultimately you will roll a whole bunch of dice to see what happens. And I can totally understand from a Eurogamer's point of view, you put in all of that effort and then you roll a bunch of dice and it rolls bad and suddenly your whole adventure is screwed. Okay, I get that. But as I say, my tastes have evolved. All I can say is I'm really loving the game. I didn't think it would work solo. It is working really well solo, and I talk about this a lot more in the video. So if you are interested in the Pathfinder Adventure card game solo playthrough series, I've done 8 of them so far, and the final episode will be coming this coming Monday. Do I want to play it again? Not only do I want to play it again with more people, because I think the game shines at 3 and 4. I really didn't think it would work well solo, but it is doing. I also kind of want to play through it again solo with a completely different character. And this is one of the questions that I get asked about this game now and again, is the game replayable? Because the game is a story, it is a campaign, and a lot of story-based campaign games, you will only play once, because they can only be played really once. This is a game which isn't just played once, okay? This is a game where here's the scenario, here's the story, here's the introduction, now go and play the game, okay? And that game is perfectly replayable as many times as you want to. You are not going to get any spoilers. You are not going to spoil your experience by knowing the story, okay? Same with games like Gloomhaven. You can play a scenario of Gloomhaven multiple times with different groups, with different characters. The fact that you know how the campaign is going isn't really a spoiler. So it's the same thing. Anyway, loads of videos on the channel if you want to go and check them out. They're all there. Yeah, there you go. Next up, Dan came round. Dan, good friend of mine, part of the Detective Society. Dan came round on the 26th of May and we played some games together. So me and Dan both took the days off our respective work. Dan came round in the afternoon and we played Tapestry. Now, I've only ever played Tapestry once before, and that was with Dan. And Dan was coming round for the afternoon, and we thought, what game should we play together? And he said, well, we've got Tapestry. Because actually what had happened when I first played it with Dan, like 18 months ago, Dan liked it, went away, bought it, and has played it since with his friends. So it was really nice to play the game again. I actually like Tapestry. I know it gets a lot of criticism, and I know people say, oh, it's not a Civ game. And it's the thing with Jamie Stegmaier, it's the thing with games that he produces. A lot of people like to bash them. And I've read a lot of the comments about Tapestry and why people don't like it, and I understand those comments. I absolutely understand them. I know the price point of Tapestry was quite high because a lot of the miniatures that you get in the game are just bling for no real purpose. It could have been the same game with cheaper components. I understand that, okay? Do I think it's a Civ game? I actually do. And I know the common opinion on Tapestry is that it is not a civilization game. It is just a game where you move up tracks. But for me, civilization games have exploration. It has that. It has conquering. It has that. It has technology advancements. It has that. And I know you can invent time travel, you know, before the nail. I get that. And it has, for me, all of the elements of a Civ game. So it is a Civ-themed game, but if you don't think it's a Civ game, then what is a Civ game? I mean, I know what a Civ game is, but what I'm saying is a civilization themed game for me is a Civ game. And as long as it's got all of those aspects of exploration, you know, and stuff like that, then yeah, that's a Civ game for me. So yeah, that's Tapestry. Really enjoy it. Now, also on the same day, and this is the reason why Dan was coming round, is the last of my sponsored coverage for Imperium. Imperium is a game designed by David Turtsey, Nigel Buckle, got released by Osprey Games recently. I know some people have got it. I know other people are still waiting for it, but it is out at the moment. Comes in 2 boxes, Imperium Classics or Imperium Legends. I've spoken about it before on the channel, but I've done a solo playthrough series. A solo playthrough where I did 2 solo playthroughs. One with an easy faction, one with a more complicated faction that gave me a headache. I've hosted a Battle of the Designers, so if you want to see a video where David Turtsey and Nigel Buckle actually play against each other, playing Imperium, the game that they designed, that is on my channel if you want to go and watch that. And on that day, Dan came over and we played 2 games of Imperium. Now, the first game was in the afternoon. That was a Patreon-only stream because that was a behind-the-scenes, me teaching Dan how to play. And then in the evening, we did an actual live playthrough. So yeah, that video is on the channel now. If you are a Patreon supporter, I probably wouldn't recommend going and checking the one in the afternoon because you've got the one in the evening. The one in the evening was a proper tutorial and playthrough. So if you want to see the 2-player game of Imperium being played out, that's on the channel now. Next up, on Friday the 28th of May, this was a game that we played over Tabletop Simulator to help launch the Kickstarter campaign. This is Fjordar. This is a game, as I say, it's on Kickstarter right now. It's about 50% funded, I think, at the time of watching this video. And if you're interested in the game, then definitely go and check out the Kickstarter and see if it is the kind of game that you would like. And if you want to see how it plays, then I've done the video for it. Now, again, this was a sponsored video, so I'm not going to give you my opinion on the game. But what I will tell you is that the video is there now. You can watch the video. We did play over Tabletop Simulator because, you know, COVID restrictions and the people that I played it against can't magically teleport here. And I didn't have a physical copy of the game. There are other content creators out there that have done videos using the physical copy of the game, so you can check those out. But if you want to see me play through the game, yeah, that video's on the channel now. On the 30th of May, I'm just going to have a cup of tea. Right, 30th of May, Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, the Blue Box, case number 2. Now, case number 2, but this is actually our 5th game that we've played in this box, because this box contains 7 cases, which are all independent, individual cases, and then 3 cases that make up one big case, which is the Queen's Park Affair. We've done the Queen's Park Affair, so we're now going through the 7 other cases in the book, and we did case 2. I can't really give you any spoilers about the case, other than we enjoyed it. I play it with Vicky, and Rick and Victoria connect to us. We play it remotely with them. They've got a copy of the game. It's a perfect game for playing remotely, because all you do, as long as you've each got a copy of the game, you can just take it in turns to read out bits and, you know, talk about what you're doing. It takes us about 2.5 hours each time we play, and it was a good one. I'm trying to desperately remember what the story was about. Oh yeah, I remember now. Yeah, it was a good one. And this box has been heavily criticised for having lots of typos and errors and things like that. There were a few in the case, but they weren't a big problem. Okay, I have heard that a couple of the other cases in this box are not particularly great, but this one was okay. As I say, the typos in it were more just a little bit amusing and off-putting and like errors rather than actual gameplay breaking things. So yeah, Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, we have 5 cases left to do in this box, and we will be doing them gradually sometime later this year. Next up, Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. So I mentioned in my last video log that me and Vicky have been having a break from our Tuesday night gaming because we had a course that was running on a Tuesday, and after the course had finished, we weren't really in the mood for playing it. However, I've been desperate to get back to Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion because I'm absolutely loving Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. It's fantastic, really enjoy it. And again, I've said this before, but I'll say it again. If you have Gloomhaven and you're thinking, I don't want to get Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion because it's Gloomhaven Light, it's not Gloomhaven Light, okay? It starts you off with a nice slow introduction to the game. You could probably skip those if you wanted to, but once you start playing it, it is pretty much the full game. The only thing that's missed is you don't have road events, but it's great. And the characters in it, you can use in the full version of Gloomhaven. The scenarios are really well designed. And we've played it twice since the last video log. So on the 1st of June and also this Tuesday on the 8th of June, we've played 2 more scenarios of it. We've probably only got about another 3 or 4 scenarios to do before the storyline is finished. There is one main storyline running through Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. We are nearing the end of that storyline. There are still a couple of other side scenarios that we might do, but we're really enjoying playing it. Now, I'm playing the Demolitionist, Vicky's playing the Red Guard, and on Tuesday's session, we made level 5. So I can tell you this isn't a spoiler, but within the box comes these little cardboard boxes that you only open at a certain time. Both me and Vicky have now opened our separate little cardboard boxes. So that was very, very exciting. And if you've played the game and you've got to level 5, then you know what I'm saying. But obviously I won't say anything else here. But yeah, very exciting, really good, especially for me as the Demolitionist. Right, next up, on the 2nd of June, I did a solo playthrough of Cloudspire. But like my other 2 solo playthroughs of this game, this wasn't just me playing. Again, if you are new to the channel, if you haven't watched any of my video logs before, you'll probably be confused. But I do a lot of solo playthroughs where it isn't just me playing, okay? Because there are certain games which I think played solo play better with 2 people. And that is anything by Vital Lacerda and certainly Cloudspire. Cloudspire, this is the 3rd video that I've done for the game this year. I have done some previous ones back in 2019. But I've done 3 videos for it this year using the new updated stuff, which have all been solo playthroughs with somebody else working with me to do it. Now, this time I was joined by Mark Buxton, or the Centre Isle, who is a rules guru expert for Cloudspire. Mark's over in America, but Mark got up very early one morning and joined me for that. And yeah, it was a good, I mean, Cloudspire is a fantastic game. Cloudspire is a really, really good game. I personally didn't enjoy that playthrough that much, but that was for 2 reasons. The first one, I was having a very stressful day. I was playing Horizon's Wrath, which is a completely new faction, and unfortunately I ran out of time to fully prepare for it. So I went into the game not feeling prepared. And then also about an hour and a half in, I got a really, really bad headache. So I spent the remaining time in the stream struggling through with a bad headache. I didn't say anything at the time. But yeah, it was tough and it was challenging. It hasn't put me off the game because those factors are nothing to do with the game itself. Horizon's Wrath was a really interesting faction to play, but like anything in Cloudspire, if you know the game, you'll know what I'm talking about. But when you start playing Cloudspire, you are overwhelmed by having this sheet full of stuff and you're like, I don't know what to do. And it's like, well, you can buy an upgrade, and you're like, I don't know what any of this stuff does. And the writing in Cloudspire, the rules writing and the description of all the abilities is very technical and it's very precise. And you read it and it says, does this, and you're like, right, how do I apply that? What does that actually mean? Cloudspire is a game that you need to be playing. And once you start playing it, you'll be like, right, now I understand how that works. So me playing Horizon's Wrath for the first time was quite a challenge. I'd definitely play it again, but yeah, like any other faction in Cloudspire, any other gearlock in Too Many Bones, you need to play it repeatedly to learn how that particular one works. So yeah, that was Cloudspire. That was a solo playthrough because my Patreon supporters have an input on which games they want to see covered on the channel. And I did put a poll up the week before saying, which solo playthrough do you want to see next week? I basically took the Wednesday off work to say, I'm going to do a solo playthrough, you pick the game, and Cloudspire got voted on. I will be doing another poll for next week, or the week after, I think. Right, next up, on the 4th of June, I played The Magnificent. Now, I've been looking forward to playing this game for about 2 years, even though I've only just got a copy of it. And the reason is, every year I go to Essenspiel, not last year, obviously, because nobody did, but every year I go to Essenspiel, and hundreds of games come out at Essenspiel. But every year I come back from it where I've missed one of the hot games. You know, one of the games, or there's always a few games that everybody's talking about which I don't get chance to go and see, mainly because I'm working a lot at Essen, but also because it's very, very busy, booths tend to be busy, And that year, when The Magnificent came out, which I think was 2019, that was the #1 game which I didn't get to see. So I'm not saying it was the #1 game of the show. What I'm saying is, of all of the games that got released that year at Essen, The Magnificent is the one that was getting the most buzz, which I didn't see. And like the way that the hobby and the industry is, 6 months later, it's like, okay, I've missed that opportunity. I'll move on because there's always more games coming out. However, I recently got a copy of it and I thought, great, now I'm going to see what all the fuss is about, because people have been saying this game has been great for like the last couple of years. So Rob came over on, when was it? The 4th, and we played it. Now, thankfully, Rob had read all of the rules beforehand. I'd read all of the rules beforehand. I did a bit of a practice game in the afternoon, and then we did a playthrough in the evening. So if you want to see a tutorial and playthrough of The Magnificent and find out why it is so good, that is on the channel now. It's not a sponsored video whatsoever. So basically you will see in that video me and Rob teaching you how to play the game, then we play the game, and then at the end of the video, if you just want to find our thoughts, you can skip ahead to the end of the video and we both give our thoughts on the game after one play. Short story is it's brilliant and we both want to play it again. And we only played it at 2-player. Rob is keen to play it at 4-player. For me, I said I wasn't really that interested in playing it at 4-player because there wasn't that much in the way of player interaction. So I think a 4-player game of it would actually be the same amount of enjoyment as a 3-player game. It would just take longer. I don't know. If you've played The Magnificent, let me know in the comments what you think about it. Following that, we'd finished that game relatively early, so Rob decided to stick around for another hour. So we did a Patreon-only stream of High Treason. Now, High Treason is a game that I was sent by Matthias from Frosted Games. Thank you very much, Matthias, for sending it to me. Because I'd played Watergate on the channel, and he said, oh, well, if you enjoy Watergate, you'll like High Treason. I'll send you a copy. And I'm like, okay. Now, Frosted Games did the German version of it and helped out with the new version. So High Treason is a game which, as I said, I didn't really know much about at all, but me and Rob went into the games room, we looked through it, we found High Treason, and we said, shall we give this a go? We'll give it a go. Rob had played Watergate as well, so we did that. Now that is another Patreon-only video. So if you are a Patreon supporter of mine, and you want to see the High Treason video, it's on the channel, but I can send you the link if you're not on the Slack channel. Another reason why you should join the Slack channel. But yeah, that's on there. I can tell you what we thought about it. We both enjoyed it. Now, the reason why I've mentioned Watergate is it's similar in that it is a card-driven game where a player has a hand of cards and you play those cards and it moves things around on the board. But thematically, it is set, it's the trial of Louis Riel, I think, who's tried to overthrow the Canadian government. So it's a historical setting. It's designed by an attorney. And the game felt fairly thematic in the way that the mechanisms all went together and you played through various phases where you're influencing the jury members and then you're deciding which members of the jury are actually going to be there. And at the end of the day, you are playing cards that move things up and down a track and you are providing evidence to say whether he's guilty or not guilty and things like that. So yeah, it was an interesting game. It was a learning game. We both learned how to play from the rulebook and we played it and we definitely play it again now that we know what we're doing. The version I've got is the new version. It's got much nicer artwork, much nicer graphic design. Everything's a lot cleaner. It just looks really, really nice. Having seen the previous version, it is not a game I would have really played. And I know that's very shallow of me because it's probably exactly the same game, but it just shows you that the look and the feel of a game do make a difference to the gameplay. I mean, there's two things here. There's artwork, and that is purely cosmetic, but there's also graphic design. And if the graphic design is not clear, it makes the game harder to play. So it isn't just me being shallow saying the old version had bad graphic design, I'm not going to play it for that. And in fact, I hadn't looked at it in that much detail. I just saw some pictures of it and go, oh yeah, I'm glad I got my new version. Anyway, that's High Treason. That might be covered at some point on the channel in future. Again, I don't know. Then on the Saturday, a good friend of mine, Ben Martin, came over. I've not seen Ben for over a year. Okay, because of the lockdown restrictions easing slightly in the UK, I was able to start having people around the house, and Ben came over and we played War of the Ring. Now, War of the Ring from Ares Games is a game which I'd played first edition a long time ago, and there were problems with it. Okay, there were real problems with War of the Ring first edition. I can't remember exactly what. It was something to do with lots of little counters when you put certain things in an area, and when it's full, you have to take them off and put. It just didn't work, right? First edition had all sorts of problems. This is the second edition of the game. Ben has spent months painting all of the miniatures for it. So I said to Ben, this was all arranged last year. This was arranged in October, November last year. Ben was going to come around in January when I took my month off to produce Patreon content. And unfortunately, with the COVID restrictions, Ben hasn't been able to come round until June. So yeah, 5 months after he was planning to come round, he came round. The video is on the channel now. Ben had read the rules of the game, and he'd done quite a lot of work in learning how to play the game. I didn't read the rules beforehand, so the idea was Ben would teach me how to play it and then we'd play it. But Ben had never played it before. So this is two people playing War of the Ring for the first time, one of them having read the rules and then teaching somebody else. So tactically, we didn't know what we were doing. But it's a good video if you want to see two people playing the game for the first time and kind of learning how it plays. So yeah, thank you very much to everybody who has left me comments on the video with a couple of bits that we did wrong in the video, but also suggestions on what we might do next time. Definitely want to play it again. It's just, too many games. Finally, this Wednesday. This Wednesday, Too Many Bones. So every month, on the second Wednesday of every month, is Too Many Bones Day. And Emily came round. Speaking of friends who I've not seen for over a year, it would be a lie to say that I hadn't seen Emily for over a year, because she lives a few houses away and we occasionally see her when we're, wandering around on the way to the shops. So we have seen her, but Emily used to be a regular on the channel. A number of times she's been on streams with me, but she hasn't been in the house for over a year because of COVID. Anyway, she came round on Wednesday and we played Too Many Bones, base game of Too Many Bones, and yeah, it was great. Now, I don't want to give too many spoilers away if you are interested in watching it, but you've heard me talk about Too Many Bones a lot over the last 6 months. I've been playing it a lot since January. That was my 9th video that I've done this year on the game. If you have been curious about Too Many Bones and have wondered which of my videos to watch, the one that I did this week is the one to watch. So it's advertised on my channel as Too Many Bones playthrough Patches and Pickett versus Mulmish. And it's from the 9th of June. That's the one to watch, because it's me teaching Emily, who's never played the game, how to play the game. So yeah, if you're curious about how Too Many Bones works and how it plays, rather than just watching a playthrough video, then that's definitely the one to watch. Really, really enjoying Too Many Bones. As usual, we had 2 or 3 weird instances in the game where I had to get advice from people in the chat about how does this combo with this, because this doesn't seem to make sense. And there's a lot of discussion in the chat. So thank you very much to everybody in the chat. I love Too Many Bones and I really, really enjoy the game, but it does suffer from, oh, wait a minute, how does this work in combo with this one? And then you have people in the chat saying, oh, well, Chip Theory Games said this. Oh, well, yeah, well, I think this. And there's that and that. And a lot of the community for Chip Theory Games and the community for Too Many Bones are fantastic. So generally speaking, you will find answers to these things. But if you're playing the game on your own without live streaming it to the internet, you are going to come across situations where you're like, oh, wait a minute, how does this work with this one? As I say, doing it live means that people in the chat can actually tell me what the official answers are to some of the rules queries that cropped up. Whether I agree with those or not, because some of them I think are, some of the rulings are a little bit weird and a little bit silly, but that's just the game. Right, that's the end of all of the content that I've done since the last video log. Moving on to other things that have been on the channel in the last few weeks. Well, I've done one unboxing video, which is a bit embarrassing. So I was unsure whether to mention it or not, but I've mentioned it now. Maharaja, the new version of Maharaja arrived. I did an unboxing video of it. And you know when you get big game boards and they've been stored in a box and you take them out and they don't sit flat? I want to know what you do with that. What do you do if you've got a game board that won't quite sit flat? What do you do to get it to sit flat? That is my question for this video log. Put your comments in the comments. Yeah, put your reply in the comments and let me know what you do. Because what I do is I gently reverse bend it. but you've got to be very, very careful, okay? Now, I did that video, and I won't go into the full reasons, but I was a little bit hyperactive before the video started. And what I did is I bent it back with a bit too much force. So if you want to see me reverse bending a game board and then breaking it in the middle of a live stream, and then feeling like a complete idiot for 48 hours and feeling terrible about myself, then that's the video to watch. I haven't fixed it yet. I will go and fix it. But yeah, slightly embarrassing unboxing video, which of course I'd advertised and I'd told the publisher about. And I've said, look, I'm doing an unboxing video of your game. It's going to be here. And then I went and did that in the middle of the video. So if you are going to reverse bend game boards, be very, very careful and don't do it when you're a little bit jittery. Also on the channel, over the last couple of weeks, is Gloomhaven Digital. Gloomhaven Digital is amazing. And I keep saying this. I keep saying it over and over again because it is. Gloomhaven Digital, for me, at the moment, is more enjoyable to play than the actual board game. And it surprises me saying that, but that's the truth. Because it's so well done. The app is so well done. And whilst the app currently doesn't have the campaign, it has Guildmaster mode. And I've said this again, and I know some people who've heard me say this loads of times, but I'm going to say it again. The Guildmaster mode included with Gloomhaven Digital, for me, is better than the campaign. It's brilliant. It's really, really well done. And it is a campaign. They just can't call it the campaign because the campaign is actually what comes with the board game. So they are working on that. And that will be out later this year. But if you are thinking, oh no, I'm not going to buy Gloomhaven Digital until it's got the campaign, put that to one side. Seriously, buy it now while it's cheaper, because the Guildmaster mode is as good as a campaign, if not, well, in my opinion, better. If you want to see how it works, I've done video last week and a video this week, and I'll be doing one next week as well. Really, really loving the game. It is so enjoyable, and the multiplayer mode is working fantastic. So yes, there'll be more Gloomhaven Digital coming to the channel soon. Rulebooks that I've been working on. So I've been working on Endless Winter, which is almost wrapping up. In fact, the base rulebook was finished. The base rulebook was done, finished, version 9, the last one, found every last little typo, all done. This is it. Paul, job done. You can finish that, move on to all of the other stuff. And then what they did is they ran a tournament. So so Fantasia Games ran an Endless Winter tournament. And that tournament was played by lots and lots of players who've played it lots and lots of times. And after that tournament, there was a discussion about changing one of the rules. So it's like, Paul, can you just make this change to the rule? Now, thankfully, it was only a small change, but it's amusing when a rulebook gets done, signed off, finished, and then they just tweak one little bit. I'm working on the expansion rulebooks with Johnny Canton at the moment. They're pretty much done. Rivers and Rafts is done. Cave Paintings is done. The promos are all done. The solo rules were done. They've changed again this week, but now they're done again. So yeah, working on Endless Winter. It's going to be fantastic when it comes out, which will be hopefully later this year. Also working on Hybris Disordered Cosmos. That is an ongoing process, but that is starting to get wrapped up, hopefully. And we're starting to get help from the fan base as well about that. So that's great. Burn Cycle I've not really been that involved in. Burn Cycle I've been helping out a little bit with Chip Theory Games, but I kind of did a bulk of work on it, and it's now back with them for them to carry on and take forward. And Frostpunk. Frostpunk I've been working on again. The development work has finished on that, and we're just now updating the rulebook, and it's about to go to layout. So that's all very exciting. Right, Patreon update. As mentioned at the start, this video, and in fact every single other piece of content that I've made in the last 2 weeks, which has been a lot, I'll put a picture on screen now of this week, and I'm going to put another picture on screen of everything that I did last week. And as you can see at the top, it says that all of this content is supported through Patreon. None of these videos are sponsored in any way. So I've not been paid a penny for producing all of this content. And a lot of it has meant taking a lot of time off work in order to produce this content, which is where the Patreon comes in. So it's always a little bit, I don't know if disappointing is the right word, but when you put all of this effort into producing all of this content and people are watching it and people are enjoying it, that you see the Patreon support not going up, but going down. And it happens every month. And I said this last month, and I said this the month before. But as of right now, and I'm being honest with you, Patreon support is currently down. Over the last week, over this week, I think 6 people have left and 1 new person has joined. It's just how it goes. And every time I do one of these video logs, support goes up again. So yeah, a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters for helping keep the channel going. And yeah, obviously times are difficult. I don't want people to support me if they're not able to support me. That's fine. And a lot of people do leave because of financial reasons, which is totally understandable. But if you are watching this video and you like the other content that I create, then you could help support the channel at whatever level you're able to support me at. Because yeah, your support makes these videos happen and allows me to carry on creating content. So yeah, thank you to everybody for sticking with me and to all of the new Patreon supporters. I'm going to put a picture on screen. This is all of the new Patreon supporters in May. And I can show you down in the bottom left. This is a new graphic that I've put on this screen because I want to be more transparent about this. What I don't want to do is sit here and say, oh, Patreon support is currently down, lots of people are leaving, and then put a picture on screen saying, oh, and look at all these new supporters that I've got. So here's the thing. In the month of May, 18 new people joined and 14 people left. So here's on screen a list of all of the new supporters. Thank you very much to all of you. The ones with the star mean that they were existing supporters who've increased their pledge. But yeah, what I'm not going to put on screen is the 14 people who've had to leave me for various reasons. So the net increase in supporters in the month of May was +4, which is great. And yeah, it makes me enthusiastic to carry on producing content. The reason why I'm able to produce a lot of this Patreon related content is because of my workload situation. Yeah, so that's where we are at the moment. Right, contest. Yeah, so every month I do a giveaway. So one of my Patreon supporters at producer level or higher, I do a giveaway each month for one of them as a thank you. And the contest at the moment is to win a copy of Fjordar, which is, as mentioned earlier on Kickstarter right now. I did the draw earlier this week, and I'm happy to say that Brendan Irvin won. So congratulations, Brendan. Thank you very much. Brendan is a regular on the Slack channel and a part of the Gaming Rules community, and has helped me out over the last, certainly 6 months, maybe even longer, with doing some very, very detailed proof watching, as I call it, on my how to play videos. So yeah, thank you very much, Brendan, for your support, and yeah, congratulations on the contest. Now, next month's contest, this is a difficult one because I wasn't sure about this, but I'm going to say it now and I'll suffer the consequences afterwards. But I have recently got a copy of Anachrony, the Infinity Box. Okay, the huge Anachrony Infinity Box, but I have a copy of Anachrony. I have a big copy of Anachrony, the original game, with the Meeple Realty insert inside. So I now have a spare copy of the base game of Anachrony. There's nothing that I can do with it. Well, I mean, I could sell it, but I'm not going to sell it. So that's going to be the contest this month. It is for a copy of Anachrony, not the Infinity Box. The Infinity Box is mine. Get your hands off. It's not just the base game. It's got the miniatures in it. And I know that they've split the miniatures out to be an extra box. So it's not just the base game. It is Anachrony, original version of Anachrony with the exosuit miniatures, and it's got the mini expansions included in it, but I think they're included in it. Now, if you're in the UK and you are a local person, or I'm going to see you at, like, you know, UK Games Expo, or I'm going to see you at GridCon or something like that, then great. If you are not in the UK, if you are somewhere else, then I will have to sort out how I am going to get this game to you, because shipping is going to be expensive. We will cross that bridge when we get to it. But that is going to be the contest for this month. Right. And yeah, thank you very much to all of my Patreon supporters. If you are a Patreon supporter of mine at producer level or higher, you do not need to do anything. You don't need to enter the contest or anything like that. You automatically get entered each month. I run a report from Patreon, and then I basically pick a winner from that list. Right, so plans. Tonight, I'm playing Merlin. Merlin is set up on this table right here in front of me. And I got the big box edition of it, and I've been waiting to be able to play it, and that's happening tonight. Merlin is a game that I very, very much enjoy. I've not played it for about 3 years, but I'm really looking forward to it tonight. I've spent a bit of time earlier on today learning how to play again, And yeah, can't wait to play it. So yeah, looking forward to that. Pathfinder Adventure card game, I mentioned that will be happening on Monday next week. That will be episode 9 in the series, which will be the last one. There will be another top 10 video at some point in the next few weeks, probably in about 2 or 3 weeks' time. There is another top 10 video. So if you are a patron supporter of mine at supporter level or higher, you should have received an email yesterday. If you haven't, please get in contact with me because I want your opinion. Basically, we're voting on deck building games. The next top 10 video is going to be a top 10 video on deck building games. The special guest is going to be Mike Fitzgerald. And basically what happens is all of my patron supporters vote on what are their favourite deck building games. I compile the results and then me and Mike are going to talk through them and give our own opinions on those games. So yeah, if you are a patron supporter of mine at supporter level or higher, please give me your opinions on it. And as I say, check your emails. If you're not getting the emails, check the Patreon page because I would like your input on it. I'm saying that because about 20% of people actually do fill in the form. So it'd be great if more of you did fill in the form. So yes, please do so. Next game, next week is a little bit uncertain. But I have 3 games from Board and Dice arriving next week. I just don't know when next week. So we've got, is it Tawanitsu, we've got Tekenu and Mandala Stones. So those are arriving sometime next week. I am planning to do a solo playthrough of Tekenu next Friday. And then I'm probably going to be doing a multiplayer game of Mandala Stones the week after. So yeah, there'll be other games coming to the channel soon. What I can tell you is at the end of this month is going to be Virtual GridCon. Now, unlike previous Virtual GridCons, this is going to be a much lighter affair. This is pretty much just for patron supporters. I am going to be doing some live streaming over the weekend, but it isn't going to be like the previous ones, which was a fully open access, anybody can join in, because those are a huge amount of effort to organise and to run. And it's just, yeah, it hasn't been worth it in the past for me to do that. So what I'm doing is I'm having a weekend of gaming all day Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. If you are a patron supporter of mine, the idea of this is that we connect patron supporters all around the world for the weekend and get them playing games against each other. So yeah, if you're a patron supporter of mine and you want to join in on Virtual GridCon, there is a lot of discussion about it going on the Slack channel. But if you're not on the Slack channel, please get in contact with me and I can tell you how you can get involved in Virtual GridCon. As I say, my ideas behind it are for patron supporters all around the world to meet up and start playing games against each other remotely for the weekend. That's the idea. I'd really like that to happen if we can make it happen. Games that I'm planning to play, I'm doing a live stream of Mage Night on the Friday night. This is the 25th of this month, I think it is. Let's have a look. Yeah, 25th. So Friday, 25th, I'll be doing Mage Night. A friend of mine, Andy's coming round. On the Saturday, I'm playing Too Many Bones, doing a 3-player game of Too Many Bones. One person here with me and another person remotely, so that'll be interesting. I'm doing Undaunted in the evening. I think we're playing Undaunted North Africa. Yeah, I think we're playing that. That'll be over Tabletop Simulator. And then on Sunday morning, this is on my bucket list, right? I have a number of games on my bucket list, and one of them is a game called Dragon Pass. I have been wanting to play this game for approximately 30 years. And on Sunday, the 27th of June, I'm going to get to play it. Now, it's going to be over Tabletop Simulator. I'm playing with Peter Rushton. Thank you, Peter, in advance for learning how to play the game. I'll read through the rules as well. But yeah, very, very much looking forward to that. Right, and just before we wrap things up, just some personal news. I've done a little bit of painting. I'm going to put on screen a picture of some of the miniatures from Tapestry, which I've been painting recently. These came out really well. Now, there's a bit of shine because the light is a bit too close to this. But yeah, I'm really happy with how these came out. Basically just took a few evenings off, a couple of hours here and there over the last couple of weeks and painted these. Now, for those people who know Tapestry, you'll be thinking, well, where's the houses? Because you've painted the armories and you've painted the granaries and you've painted the other ones. Where's the houses? Yeah, I've not finished those yet, so they're not included. That's all of the painting that I've been doing. I've not really done much other painting. And in other personal news, since the last video log, I just wanted to say a big thank you to all of the people who've reached out to me with various messages of support. I did mention in the last video log that things things going on in the background with me aren't what you see on camera. I do put a brave face on, certainly for not just for this video, but all of my playthrough videos, all of my tutorial playthrough videos, everything that I do, all of the content that I produce, I try to make it all, you know, happy and it's all good. But in the background, there is a lot of bad stuff going on with me, which I don't really want to go into the details of. But as I say, I kind of want to be honest and say to people, look, there's a lot of bad stuff going on. And yeah, thank you to everybody for all of your support. Specifically, well, not specifically, but in particular, people on the Gaming Rules Slack channel have really helped me deal with things over the last few weeks, certainly with just all of the stuff that I do. Very often I will do private streams where I'm just like playing a computer game or I'm putting a game away or something like that. And I do that as a live stream and people join in and you don't know how helpful that is for me. It really, really does help. So yeah, big thank you. That's everything. I will be back next month, but between now and the next video log is going to be my 27th birthday. I don't really celebrate my birthday, and Virtual GridCon, I'm kind of using that as a birthday weekend. Even though it's the weekend before my actual birthday, Virtual GridCon for me is going to be pretty much my celebration, which is another reason. Again, you know, trying to convince people to join in on Virtual GridCon, it's my birthday weekend, even though it's not. So anyway, that's happening. Right, let's wrap things up. Thank you very much for watching. And as I mentioned at the start, thank you to all of my Patreon supporters for your continued support and keeping the channel going in these difficult times. And yeah, I'll be back with some more content soon. In fact, very soon, because I'll be playing Merlin tonight. Until next time, take care and thanks for watching. Gaming Rules is proudly sponsored by Game Toppers, upgrading your gaming experience. Visit GameToppersLLC.com.